So one thing that happens quite a bit inside of NeoVim I've noticed is, let's say you do something like you populate the quick fix list. We'll talk about this actually in the next video. People don't know how to move from this window back to this one. Now you could click. I know the first thing I show is that you can just click in NeoVim. I'm aware, but it still supports the mouse. It's okay, all right? It's okay. But that's not really the way that we want to do that. The way that we actually want to do that is from a bunch of stuff inside of Win Command. And so basically, Win Command is a way that we can execute different commands regarding Windows. And the trick here is actually that there's a bunch of Control W keyboard shortcuts that are all the different ways that we can navigate, move, set splits, do a bunch of other stuff. So basically, if you start here at the top of this Windows, and this is Windows as in these windows, like this window and this window. And this is a very, very important piece of information right here. Summary. A buffer is the in-memory text of a file. So this is just the text that you see, like where it says a buffer is the in-memory text of a file. That is like the buffer. A window is a way to view that buffer. We can have this same buffer show up in multiple spots, right? You'll see these two things, they say the same thing. In fact, when we select them, those are two windows viewing the same buffer, and a tab is just a collection of windows, okay? Really important that you know that those like words and names and match up, because that's very specific what NeoVim means for all of these. So inside of Windows, okay, we have a bunch of different options that we can do. There's a bunch of names for what buffers can do and other stuff like that. But the part that I want to sort of have us talk about here are not really opening and closing windows, not that exciting. That part's not that exciting. The thing that I want to show is actually how we can move between them. But you do need to know a few of these, like splits the current window, vnew makes a new window vertically or horizontally, depending if you do vnew or not. And the other one that's pretty nice here is once we start getting down to here. Closing a window is nice. Control W, cute. So you'll notice something. All of these actually have Control W to start. And so there's a ton of them, okay? So if you're not sure what to do, you can go to something like Help, Windows, right? Windows here. And then you could search for something like left, okay? So this is like, okay, no, not left here. That's like for splitting them left. That's for moving it left. You're saying, okay, aha, here we go. Move cursor to the nth window left of the current one. So if I have a split here and I want to move to the right, I'll do Control W, Control L. And if I want to move back to the left, I'll do Control W. And we can actually just do H, Control W, L, Control W, H. Those are actually the same. You don't have to do the controls in between if you don't want to. So that's like the very basics. Is you can use Control W and then the direction that you're used to doing, HJKL. This is one of the things, like where at the beginning of the series I said, please don't remap HJKL. I know your fingers don't rest there, but it's important that you don't do that, so that then all of these other commands make sense and you don't have to remap 37 other things to be able to do it, right? If you remapped HJKL earlier, then now also you have to remap all of the other movements between windows. Otherwise, it's going to be confusing. And so basically, the most important ones that you need to know, the ones that I use the most often, are if I have a split, or I say I have like, my quick fix list down here like this. And you can drag these too, by the way. That's actually sometimes what I do. If I want to move back up, I can do Control WK to move up, or Control WJ to move down, right? And the other one that I quite like, I'm a bit of a tab enjoyer for some items. Let's say I have like Hello World here and I have other thing here. Since I'm on stream a lot and I have bigger text, sometimes I want to take one like window and move it to its own whole tab so that I can see the entire file. Control W capital T will make you a new tab, which is really nice. And you can use GT to move through tabs like this. GT, 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 GT. Kind of sounds almost like TG, 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 but anyways, that's not the point because it's GT. So those are kind of like the main things that you need to know, I think, is Control W and then a motion to move between different windows. That's how you don't get stuck. And then the last thing here, for if we're looking for windows and we go back to here and we look for, let's look for float. This one is a little bit confusing because the thing that you might want to do is you get stuck with like a floating window above you. You can use F close to close floating windows. That's the only one. Like maybe you have some plugin that opens a floating window and you're like, I don't know how to get rid of it. My cursor's not in there anymore. Probably easiest way is just to do F close. And then the other option that you have is you can do Control W, and that will cycle through windows. So if you did have a floating window open, you can keep spamming Control W, and most of the time that will let you get into that window, and then you could close it or delete it or whatever you want to do from there. So that's pretty much like everything that I wanted to cover for this. Just basic, simple navigation. And all of the interesting stuff is inside of this Windows thing. And you could search around inside of here to be able to find either the motions or the Win commands that you need to be able to manage your Windows. And last but not least, on today's episode, I wanted to thank Leet Keyboards. Now, I actually really like Jesse here, Jesse Leet, and he's the guy behind Leet Keyboards. We're longtime friends, great Vim user. And if you're interested in getting some cool custom keyboards, like he's really good. He's selling some DIY kits, he's selling some pre-soldered builds, and he's expanding to like more stuff. So you should probably, follow this account. I'll send a link in here. And just for some examples of some ones that he's built before, like some different keycap options and everything, and some of the keys that he's built, he's got some really cool stuff. So you should check that out. He's doing a sale till the end of the year, 15% off. OCaml 2024, by the way. That's how you can tell he's a real fan, as he came up with that key code. So anyways, shout out to Jesse. Thanks for sponsoring today's Advent of NeoVim, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.